The Millionaire CEO's 10-year reign of fear ended when one secretary revealed an incredible truth. Amelia's hands trembled as she stared at the screen, her heart pounding like a drum. The news headline blared from every corner of her mind. The Millionaire CEO's 10-year reign of fear ended when one secretary revealed an incredible truth. It took everything within her to pull her thoughts back to the present. This wasn't some distant dream. This was her life teetering on the edge of something monumental, something terrifying yet exhilarating. Every day, she woke up at dawn, the smell of burnt toast and fresh coffee filling the air of her cozy suburban kitchen. Her two children, Ellie and Ben, were the sunlight in her life, their laughter drowning out the harsh sounds of her 9 to 5 existence at Heart Tech. Behind the polished glass and metallic doors of her office, shadows lingered, a cruel tower built on fear and ambition. Greg Hartman's presence loomed large, suffocating the dreams of every employee, like a blanket of dark fog. She had seen so many wonderful colleagues lose their spark under Greg's monstrous reign. Mike, who had shared countless laughs with her over lunchtime burritos, was now a mere shell of his former self. The veteran employee, loyal to a fault, was constantly overlooked for promotions, his righteous spirit slipping away. It stung Amelia deeply. Her father had taught her that everyone deserved a fair chance, that grit and tenacity should never go unrewarded. Then, one fateful evening, as Amelia sorted through the chaotic mess of paperwork, her eyes fell upon an envelope, ominously marked with the company's seal. Inside was the truth, deadly secrets laid bare, revealing a web of deception built to manipulate stock prices and silence dissent. Her breath hitched, sweat prickled the back of her neck, and an unwavering fire ignited in her heart. Was she really prepared to shatter her fragile safety net for something so much bigger? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the days that followed, murmurs of rebellion thrummed in the office like a distant drumbeat. Amelia transformed from a shadowed secretary into a beacon of hope. Each day began with tense anticipation, with whispers circulating about standing tall against their oppressor. The flicker of defiance grew stronger, binding her coworkers like a tightly woven tapestry, one where every thread mattered. As Amelia drove home one evening, her children giggling behind her, the weight of her decision bore down like an anvil. She recalled her father's words about how one person can ignite change. But doubt crept in, vicious and chilling. What if things went sideways? What if she lost her job? What if her children suffered? Turning the corner toward her home, a text notification flashed on her phone, and time seemed to freeze. Who could it be? A supportive ally. Her heart raced at the possibility. The stakes were higher than ever. The question loomed large in the air, a shadow battling the hope that flickered ever so brightly within her. How far was Amelia willing to go to stand up for justice? How many would join her fight against the dark empire built on fear? The moment was crescendoing, but Amelia's future felt like a game of chance, teetering dangerously close to the edge of fate. Amelia parked her car in the driveway, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and resolve. The evening light cast long shadows across the lawn as she stepped out, the chirping of crickets a stark contrast to the chaos of her thoughts. As she walked toward the front door, Ellie and Ben rushed to her, their tiny arms wrapping around her waist, unknowingly bringing her a moment of peace. Mommy, guess what? We got A's in our spelling tests. Ellie shouted, her eyes sparkling with joy. Yeah. Look, Ben chimed in, holding up a crumpled piece of paper as if it were a treasure map. The pride welling in their voices pulled at Amelia's heartstrings, grounding her in a reality far removed from the darkness she faced every day at work. She knelt down, pulling them into a tight hug, laughter bubbling up from a deep place. That's amazing. You too, she exclaimed, her smile lighting up her face. In that moment, The burdens of the office felt lighter, almost bearable. But as they moved inside, the walls echoed with whispers of betrayal and secrets, cold and unyielding. Later that night, as the children drifted into slumber, Amelia sat on the edge of her bed, laptop open, staring at the same news headline that had captivated her world. The Millionaire CEO's 10-year reign of fear ended. She read it over and over, each time more revelations sprouting in her heart. What if she could be that person? What if she could be remembered for standing up? With each click of the keyboard, she began piecing together a plan. Her first step was to reach out to her colleagues. She would gather them, build a coalition fueled by their shared hopes and frustrations. Imagining their faces as they rallied together fueled her spirit. The next morning, Amelia arrived at HeartTech earlier than usual, her breath steady despite the anxiety humming beneath the surface. She had arranged a meeting in the break room, a place where laughter once echoed but had turned into a chamber of dread. As her co-workers filtered in one by one, she felt the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders, the hopes of many resting on her courage. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice slightly trembling but powerful. She quickly spoke of the email, of the truths she had uncovered, the corruption that ran deeper than anyone had dared to imagine. As she laid out her plan, the tension in the room shifted. Some faces glimmered with hope, while others were painted with fear. "What if we lose our jobs?" Mike finally spoke up, his voice low, fear lacing his words. "And what if we don't do anything and continue to live like this?" Amelia countered, her gaze intent and unwavering. "We deserve better. Our lives matter. We shouldn't have to live in fear." As murmurs began to ripple through the group, nerves mixed with budding excitement, Amelia could sense it, the awakening. The need for change was palpable. They were no longer just scared employees. They were beginning to see themselves as a collective force. But just as momentum began to build, the door swung open, and Greg Hartman entered the break room, his presence looming like a dark cloud. The murmurs faded into hushed whispers, the tension thickening. Eyes darted, fear palpably coursing through the room. For a moment, Amelia froze, her heart slamming against her chest. This wasn't just an ordinary day anymore. And as she stared into Greg's unyielding gaze, she could feel the impending storm bearing down, dark and menacing. "Who's been stirring up trouble?" Greg asked, a smirk playing on his lips, his eyes scanning the room like a predator surveying its prey. And that instant, Amelia knew they were at a crossroads. Would they step up together, or crumble under the weight of fear? As the silence stretched, Amelia's heart raced. The air crackled with unspoken tension, and everything depended on the words she would say next. Would she fight back? What would she choose to reveal? Amelia felt the weight of the room shift, all eyes locked on her. It was as if time suspended in the thick air, every second aching and heavy. Greg's smirk was both a threat and a challenge, and the uncertainty of what came next left her struggling for words. But deep down, a powerful resolve took root. "Greg," she finally said, her voice firming up as she stood a little straighter, "I'm not the one stirring trouble. We are tired of living in fear, tired of turning a blind eye to the things we know are wrong." A ripple of murmurs danced through the break room. Some co-workers exchanged glances, a few visibly nodding in agreement. But there were those whose faces remained clouded with doubt and trepidation. Amelia's heart hammered as she fought to read their reactions. Would they fall back in line or rally by her side? "Fear won't save you, Greg," she continued, feeling bolder with every word. "It only locks us into a cage. If we stay silent now, we'll only be giving up our chance to make things right." Greg's smile faded slightly, brows furrowed as the tension in the air thickened yet again. "You think you can make a change?" he taunted, his voice low. "You think they'll stand beside you? You're just a secretary after all. What do you really know?" Her stomach twisted at his condescending tone, but she stood her ground. "I know plenty," she shot back. "I know about the practices that hurt countless employees, about the shady deals that left many struggling. And I know that together we can make it stop." As her words echoed in the room, it felt like a light flicked on, illuminating the shadows that had haunted them for too long. Amelia could see a few hesitant faces soften, as if courage was creeping into their hearts. But Greg wasn't done. "You'll regret this, Amelia," he warned, his eyes darkening like a brewing storm. "Don't make me your enemy." With a deep breath, she opened her arms to her frightened colleagues, inviting them into her vision for change. "We can stand together against this," she said, her voice unwavering. "This is our chance." One by one, hands started to lift from the crowd. Mike S. was the first, followed by others, bolstered by the strength of her conviction. They weren't just employees. They were people with lives, families, dreams, each a thread in a larger tapestry that could be woven into something beautiful. "Okay," Mike said, his voice steadier now. "I'm in if everyone else is." More voices chimed in, growing in volume and enthusiasm. They were starting to believe, starting to understand the power they held when united. Yet, as the energy shifted, Greg glowered, frustration boiling just beneath the surface. "Don't think this is over," he spat, taking a step back, an air of danger creeping into his stance. "You'll regret crossing me." The threat lingered in the air, heavy and sharp, but Amelia felt a rush of exhilaration. It was a risk, yes, but also a moment she had dreamed of, standing up for what was right, taking action. As Greg stormed out of the room, the exhilaration in the air tinged with fear. But there was no turning back now. No matter what he threw at them, they would meet it together. Amelia knew that each voice joining hers was a step toward a brighter future. Yet as the meeting broke up and the reality of the fight ahead began to settle in, a new knot formed in her gut. Greg wouldn't go down easily, and if he retaliated, what would that mean for her children? Determined yet anxious, Amelia took a deep breath, steeling herself for the battle to come. What would she uncover next? And at what cost would the truth come? As Amelia walked out of the break room, a flurry of thoughts raced through her mind. She felt elated yet terrified. The taste of victory was sweet, but fear lingered in the background like a shadow ready to pounce. She had stepped into the light, but it was still dark in many corners. Her friends, who had rallied behind her, followed closely. They filed out, murmurs spreading warmth like an ember in a chilling night. "You were amazing, Amelia," Laura said, her eyes bright with newfound hope. "I honestly didn't think anyone would have the guts to stand up to Greg." "Me neither," chimed in Helen, clutching her coffee cup like a life raft. "This could change everything." Amelia felt warm rush through her but forced herself to keep her excitement in check. "It's just the beginning," she replied, trying to sound steady. "We have to stay strong and focused. Greg will retaliate." "Let him try," Mike added, a determined glint in his eye. "Together we can handle it." The others nodded, enthused by the notion, but Amelia couldn't shake the nagging fear that accompanied each word. Were they really prepared for the storm to come? She imagined the panic in her children's eyes if Greg pulled strings that were beyond their reach. That fear tugged at her heart as she made her way to her desk, her pulse quickening with every step. She glanced at the clock, less than an hour until her kids got out of school. She loved the idea of changing the workplace for the better, but wondered what changes might be brewing in her home life as a result. Just as she settled into her chair, an ominous email notification appeared on her screen. It was from Greg. The subject line flashed, "Next steps." Her breath hitched as she opened it, wondering what penance he would demand. "What's up?" asked Mike, who had leaned over her shoulder, his brow furrowing at the email preview. "A letter from Greg. I have a feeling it's not good," Amelia replied, her pulse racing again. As she clicked to read, her heart sank. The words were sharp, laced with thinly veiled threats and promises of consequences. "You've made a grave mistake, Amelia," it read, "and it will not go unnoticed. I hope you are prepared for the repercussions, both personal and professional." "What does it say?" Laura whispered, eyes wide. Taking a steadying breath, Amelia recited the most chilling part verbatim. "I will ensure that your little insurrection leaves an imprint on more than just your workplace. You won't be able to shield your family from what's to come." The room fell silent, the gravity of the message hanging heavy in the air. "But he can't threaten us like this," Mike stammered, his confidence faltering. We have rights. Amelia's stomach churned. It's not just us. I can't let my children suffer because of this. They didn't sign up for my fight. Suddenly, the specter of choice loomed large. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was also about the safety and happiness of her family. The stakes had never been higher as they stared at each other. Fear mingled with determination. It became clear that they would need a solid plan. Amelia knew they had to act. But how could she safeguard her family and fight for justice? The silence felt deafening, heavy with unasked questions and looming uncertainty. Could they find a way forward, or had they inadvertently set off a chain of events that threatened to unravel everything? In that moment, Amelia vowed to uncover the truth and find strength not just for herself, but for those she loved most. With the stakes raised, she realized they were not just battling an oppressive boss but also time itself. What plan would they devise? And would it be enough to protect them all? Amelia's fingers hovered over the keyboard, but words eluded her. Panic crept into her thoughts, wrapping itself around her chest like a vice. What should we do? She breathed half to herself. Mike, sensing her distress, shifted his weight, leaning in closer. We need a strategy. We can't let him intimidate us. That's exactly what he wants. Laura nodded, her brows knitted in concentration. But his email, it's not just talk. He made it personal. If we don't keep this under control, it could spiral out of hand. Amelia took a deep breath, attempting to calm the racing in her heart. Let us form a plan before we act. We need proof of what he has been doing. Each word solidified her resolve, even as her mind played out all the scenarios that could go wrong. What sort of proof? Helen asked, her voice quivering. He operates with so much control and secrecy. How do we even know where to start? Amelia leaned back in her chair, feeling the weight of the room pressing down on her. We start where we are. She looked around at her friends, seeing their determination flicker like a flame. We gather evidence from coworkers. There have to be others who felt his wrath. We could build our collective story. If we show that he's repeating his behavior, then maybe we'll have something powerful. Mike's face lit up with a spark of hope. Right? If we expose his tactics, we'll have leverage. We can't be the only ones affected. He thinks he's untouchable. But together, we can make a splash. Amelia finished, a fire igniting within her chest. And if we pull a good number of people in, it'll be harder for him to retaliate without getting the spotlight on himself. As they began brainstorming, ideas flowed from one person to the next. They plotted how to approach coworkers, how to document conversations, and where to look for information that could solidify their claims. For the first time since receiving Greg's email, Amelia felt a soft sense of control settle in her stomach. Amelia glanced at the clock again. They had less than 30 minutes before school ended. I have to pick up the kids, she said, though she wanted to keep working. But let us meet tonight after dinner. We can put together everything we've gathered so far. Agreed, said Laura. We'll text everyone to meet at my place. I can bring snacks, fuel for battle. Amelia laughed slightly, the tension easing for a moment. Snack power will definitely help us. As Amelia packed her bag, she felt a mixture of anxiety and hope. She was heading back out into the world where danger waited, yet she was less alone than before. As she stepped into the hall, her phone buzzed again. A new message from Greg. She flipped it open, her heart lurching when she read his response. Don't believe for a second that you can outsmart me, Amelia. I will do whatever it takes to protect my interests, including making sure your kids feel the impact of your decisions. Her breath caught, and the world around her blurred for a moment. Amelia felt a cold wave reviving her fear, but it was quickly swept away by the warmth of resolute anger. No, she whispered, a fierce promise forming in her heart. I will not let him intimidate me, or my children. With a renewed sense of purpose, she turned towards the exit, her friends flocking around her. They were warriors now, united against a common threat. But as she entered her car, ready to take on the day ahead, a new worry seeped in. If Greg was willing to go after her kids, how far would he actually go? The road ahead was murky, strewn with uncertainty and challenges. But one thing was clear. This fight was far from over, and Amelia was ready for the next chapter of her battle. What would it take to ensure they emerged victorious? And as the threats loomed closer, would she be strong enough to shield her loved ones from the storm? As Amelia drove through the familiar streets, a knot tightened in her stomach. Every honk and lively chatter felt amplified, almost mocking her anxiety. She turned up the music, hoping to drown out the chaos in her mind. But deep down, the echo of Greg's threats lingered like a storm cloud. Arriving home, she was greeted by the delightfully chaotic sounds of her children arguing over a game. The contrast was jarring. Their giggles and shouts filled her with warmth, cutting through her worries like sunshine after rain. They were her light, and for a moment, everything felt normal. "Mommy!" Her daughter, Lily, bounded over, her pigtails flying. "Look what I made." She proudly held out a crayon-drawn picture of their family, each stick figure beaming with oversized smiles. Amelia knelt down, forcing a smile as genuine as she could muster. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. We look so happy." Her heart twisted for a second as she thought about Greg's words, but she pushed the darkness away. "Can I have a snack?" Lily asked, her innocent eyes sparkling with excitement. "Of course," Amelia replied, leading her into the kitchen where her son, Ben, was already rummaging through the pantry. "Mom!" Ben exclaimed, looking up with crumbs around his mouth. "Is there any ice cream left?" Amelia couldn't help but chuckle, finding normalcy in their antics. "Only if you finish your veggies first." The banter eased her tension, but as she prepared their snacks, Amelia felt a heavy responsibility resting on her shoulders. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for them, for their safety. Once they settled down at the table, Amelia's mind drifted back to the plan with her friends. The weight of it all shook her a little. "So what did you two do in school today?" she asked, desperate for distraction. Ben launched into a tale of his science project, while Lily showcased her arts and crafts from pre-K. Their innocent joy was a brief sanctuary, but Amelia couldn't shake the cold swell of fear that crept back. "Mom," Lily said, her voice softening. "Are you okay? You look funny." Amelia's heart ached at the concern in her daughter's voice. "Yeah, just a little tired. But I'm okay." She smiled, knowing they deserved her best self, even when she felt far from it. After dinner, as bedtime approached, Amelia tucked the kids in, those simple, soothing routines grounding her in a sense of normalcy. She kissed each child goodnight, reminding them of the love that wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Easing the door shut, she allowed herself to linger for a moment, listening to their soft breathing and the quiet of the house. The reality of the evening ahead crashed back. She had promised to meet Laura and the others to strategize against Greg. But should she involve her kids in this at all? She didn't want them to carry the weight of fear. Her phone buzzed again, another message from Greg. Resist the impulse to read, it was futile. The glow of the screen illuminated her face, revealing his latest threat. "I always get what I want, Amelia. Don't underestimate the lengths I'll go to." She swiped the screen off, fighting against the swell of panic rising in her throat. Could she really face him, knowing the stakes? Would she be courageous enough to protect her children while confronting this monster? The doorbell rang, breaking her spiraling thoughts. It was too late for visitors. Who could it be? A chill slipped down her spine. What if it was him? With hesitant steps, she approached the door. Heart racing, she peeked through the peephole, careful to shield her thoughts from encroaching dread. The glimpse she had tilted the scales of her confidence. It was someone unexpected, an ally or an enemy. With a trembling hand, she grasped the doorknob, uncertain of what awaited her on the other side. Amelia inhaled sharply, her heart pounding. The figure on the other side was not who she expected. It was Laura, her friend and confidant. But the anxiety in her expression told Amelia that something was wrong. "Hey, can I come in?" Laura whispered urgently. Amelia opened the door, fear melting into relief but quickly morphing back into worry. "What's going on?" Laura stepped inside, glancing nervously over her shoulder before closing the door behind her. I heard about Greg. I think we need to act fast. She looked disheveled, as if she had rushed over without a moment's pause. Amelia felt a wave of compulsion to shield her children, unsure whether they were safe staying at home. Can we talk somewhere less exposed? Amelia suggested, leading Laura to the kitchen. They sat at the table, remnants of the kids' snacks scattered around them. Have you received more texts? Laura asked, her tone low. Yes, Amelia admitted, pulling her phone from her pocket. She opened the messages, her fingers trembling. But I haven't read the last few. I can't. Laura leaned in closer, her expression tight. You have to. You have to know what he is capable of. Taking a deep breath, Amelia scrolled through the ominous messages. Each one read like a punch to her gut. I always get what I want. You'd be surprised how far I'll go with each word. The weight of despair settled on her. Amelia finally looked at Laura. What do we do? I can't keep hiding behind this door. I need to protect my kids. Laura reached for Amelia's hand, the warmth grounding in their moment of urgency. You need to confront him, but not alone. We'll gather everyone who has been impacted by Greg and figure out a plan. But what if he retaliates? I can't risk my children. Amelia struggled to keep the tremor from her voice, wrestling with the fear that threatened to consume her. Laura's eyes softened, filled with understanding. We can do this together. It's not just you anymore. We're all in this. And remember, the more support we have, the stronger we become. Amelia felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. It wasn't just her against the world. She had an army at her side. Okay. She nodded, though doubt still lingered in her mind like a shadow. I'll do it. For them. Just then, a loud thud echoed through the house. Both women froze, the sound seemingly coming from the living room. Amelia's heart stopped, and she jumped up, a wave of panic washing over her. What was that? Laura shot up beside her, eyes wide with alarm. Quietly, they crept toward the source of the noise. With every step, Amelia felt the reality of Greg South threats close in. She couldn't back down now. Not when stakes were so high. As they cautiously approached the living room, thoughts raced through Amelia's mind. Was this it? Would they encounter Greg tonight? Peering around the corner, they both gasped. The sight that met their eyes shattered the last remnants of calm in Amelia's heart. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man they hadn't expected, holding something that made their blood run cold. What did he want? Was this creature of Greg's design? Or was it someone seeking redemption? Amelia's chest tightened, her instincts screaming that this moment could change everything. Who are you? She demanded, her voice louder than she intended. The figure turned slowly, a smirk playing on his lips. You'll want to hear what I have to say, he said, his voice smooth and dangerously inviting. The tension in the room thickened, amplifying every breath they took. What secrets would this mysterious man reveal? Amelia exchanged a glance with Laura, a silent recognition passing between them. Sometimes, the most unexpected encounters could unravel the truth. But at what cost? Amelia's heart raced, the weight of the moment crashing down around her. The man stood there, tall and imposing, his dark silhouette almost regal beneath the dim light. She took a step back, instinctively shielding Laura with her body. Who sent you? Amelia interrogated, her voice icy. There was no way she would back down now. She had come too far. The man's smile deepened, revealing a confidence that made her skin crawl. I came to warn you. There's more at play here than you realize. Greg isn't the only one with secrets. What do you mean? Laura's voice quivered slightly, yet her curiosity pushed her to stay. The figure glanced around the room, as if the walls themselves had ears. Let us just say, Greg has powerful connections. You're not the only ones affected by his actions. Rissa, the lady from the car dealership? She knows something too. Amelia's mind spun. Rissa? She remembered the woman's friendly smile, the way she assured Amelia that her old minivan was safe. But there had been that moment of tension when they overheard a phone call referring to deals going south. How do you know this? Amelia demanded. I used to work for him, but I left when things got too messy, he said, nodding slowly as if to add weight to his words. I came here to help because I see what he is doing, and I can't let it continue. Why should we trust you? Laura interjected, crossing her arms defiantly. Because I've seen his tactics, and you're not safe until you do something about it. He took a small step closer, lowering his voice. He won't stop until he gets what he wants. Some people are born into power, others have to fight for it. You can't let him isolate you. Trust me, I know how it feels to be trapped. Amelia glanced at Laura, their silent conversation brimming with unspoken fears. It'd taken everything in her to admit Greg's hold over their lives. And now this man was providing a sliver of hope draped in uncertainty. What do you propose? She finally asked, her voice stronger now. You need to gather as much evidence as you can. I can help you with that. His eyes sparkled with a fire Amelia hadn't expected. Document everything. The texts, anything Greg has threatened. If you have it, you can fight it. Amelia nodded, determination surging through her. And if he comes after us? I'll protect you, he said. But you have to trust me. The tension simmering in the room shifted. For the first time, Amelia felt less like a cornered animal and more like someone ready to strike back. But a nagging doubt still lingered. Could they really trust this stranger? What's your name? Amelia finally asked, needing to ground this mystique in something tangible. Oliver. My name is Oliver, he replied, his tone more serious now. All right, Oliver. What's the next step? Just as he opened his mouth, a loud crash echoed from the back of the house, causing both women to jump. Amelia felt a surge of panic overwhelm her senses. No, not now, she whispered, her hands shaking as dread crept up her spine. Laura's face went pale. What if it's Greg? Or worse? Oliver raised a hand to quiet them, his expression shifting to one of focus. Stay here. I'll check it out. No. We need to stick together. Amelia protested. Trust me, Oliver urged, more insistent now. If he's here, you both need to stay safe. With that, he slipped towards the hallway, the shadows swallowing him whole. Amelia and Laura stood frozen, hearts pounding as silence settled like a fog around them. They couldn't remain helpless. Not anymore. What lay behind that door? Would they be forced to confront Greg tonight? Then, Amelia felt it, an icy finger of fear tracing her spine. What if he's already inside? She breathed, gripping Laura's hand tightly. Tension pulsed like a live wire in the air. The deepest curl of dread tightened Amelia's throat. Would they really be able to face whatever awaited them on the other side? As a deep voice boomed from the hallway, Amelia? Laura? Are you in there? They exchanged a glance, fear and determination melding into a powerful resolve. Let us do this. Amelia's heart raced at the sound of that voice. It was deep, authoritative, and all too familiar. Greg. Her stomach twisted in knots. This was the moment she had feared the most. Stay close to me, Amelia whispered, taking a step toward the door. Laura clutched her arm. A mixture of fear and resolve reflected in her wide eyes. They had to face him. There was no other option. Amelia. Laura. Greg's voice rang out again, closer now, echoing through the darkened hallway. He was searching for them. She could hear his footsteps heavy, casual, like he owned the place. That feeling of dread swept over her again. What do we do? Laura asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Amelia felt the weight of the world on her. We stand our ground. We're not going to let him intimidate us anymore. She straightened up, shaking off the panic that threatened to consume her. The house felt smaller, walls closing in as Oliver remained out of sight. Maybe he's just bluffing. He wouldn't dare come here, right? Laura said, her voice trembling, but the conviction slowly built behind her words. Right? Amelia replied, though uncertainty gnawed at her. She needed to believe that. As they prepared to confront Greg, Oliver suddenly appeared at their side, his expression tense. I heard him. He's not alone, he said, lowering his voice to a near whisper. What do you mean? Amelia shot back, panic surging in her veins. Greg has backup. He usually does when he feels threatened. If you see a way out, take it. Leave? Laura's voice trembled at the suggestion. And let him win? No, Oliver urged quietly. Staying isn't going to end well. But just as Amelia opened her mouth to argue, Greg's footsteps rounded the corner, and he stepped into view. His expression was a mix of surprise and amusement. Well, this is cozy, he smirked. Greg, Amelia said, her voice firm despite the dread pulling at her insides. We know what you're doing. It's over. For a fleeting moment, Greg's facade dropped, and something darker flashed through his eyes. You don't know anything, he sneered. You think you can intimidate me in my own home? The urge to back down flickered in Amelia's mind, but she steadied herself. You may think you control everything, but we're done being afraid. Oliver shifted slightly, positioning himself protectively between them and Greg. You can't hide behind threats forever, he added, his voice steady. Oh, how noble, Greg mocked, leaning back against the wall with a casual confidence. But you're making a mistake. You have no idea how far I'm willing to go to keep what's mine. Amelia's stomach twisted as the stakes became painfully clear. She glanced at Laura, who stood trembling but resolute. We have evidence. We're ready to expose you, Amelia declared, her voice shaking but fueled by a fierce determination. Greg's laughter echoed hollowly through the room. Evidence? What a joke. You think anyone will believe you? That's not up to you, Oliver interrupted, his eyes narrowing. We've got everything, phone records, messages, witnesses. You're not untouchable. The tension crackled like electricity between them, each moment stretching painfully. And then, just as the room felt like it might explode, Greg's expression darkened. You're going to regret this. He stepped closer, the air thick with threats and unspoken promises. But Amelia felt something spark in the depths of her heart, a spirit unbroken. A fire ignited in defiance. Do your worst, she shot back, her voice steady. But deep down, she knew the battle was far from over. Now that we've crossed this line, Oliver murmured, eyeing Greg, it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. With that realization came another chill, one filled with newfound resolve and fear. What secrets lay behind Greg's walls? What lengths would he go to silence them? Just as they braced for the impending confrontation, a loud crash erupted from outside, shaking the house. What was that? Laura cried, eyes wide. I don't know, Amelia whispered, as dread coiled tighter in her chest. Oliver nodded to the door. We need to find out. Now, as they moved cautiously toward the noise, a shared sense of urgency propelled them forward. Amelia's heart raced, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of a discovery that would change everything. What awaited them outside? What truth had yet to unfold? The moment they stepped outside, the air crackled with tension, thick with anticipation and dread. What had they walked into? The garden was a scene of chaos. Greg's glowering figure was out there, a dark silhouette against the streetlight. But he wasn't alone. Two burly men stood beside him, their expressions menacing and ready to enforce his will. Amelia could feel her heart race as fury mixed with fear. Could this be the moment of reckoning? Get inside, Laura hissed, grabbing Amelia's arm. No, we can't back down now, Amelia insisted, pulling away from Laura just as Greg's mocking laughter echoed through the still night. You think you can scare us? You're not the only one with a stake in this. Such brave words, Amelia, Greg taunted, his voice dripping with disdain. But bravery only gets you so far. You're playing a dangerous game. Amelia felt Oliver shift beside her, his stance firm. We know what you've done, Greg. It's only a matter of time before it all comes to light. Greg's expression soured, his mask of composure beginning to crack. You'd think you could change things, but you'll only make it worse for yourselves. Before Amelia could respond, Oliver stepped forward. Your threats don't scare us anymore. We have proof, and it's only a matter of time before the people are on our side. The air was electric, the tension palpable, as Greg's eyes flickered with real anger. Do you really think you'll get away with this? Watching your children suffer will be the least of your worries. A chill washed over Amelia, but she pressed through it, steeling her resolve. I refuse to let fear control my life. My children deserve to see strength, not cowardice. With determination cementing her stance, Amelia felt clarity wash over her. Everything she had fought for came rushing back. Her children's laughter, the corny family dinners, the warmth of their embraces. So much was at stake, but fear couldn't dictate her actions anymore. Now you listen to me, she said, her voice fierce. You may think you have power right now, but that's an illusion. We're not afraid of you anymore. Laura stood beside her, fists clenched. We deserve better, and we're ready to fight for it. You've taken enough from us. Amelia could see the uncertainty flicker across Greg's face. For the first time, his facade started to crumble. You think you're strong? Stronger than you, Amelia shot back, her heart pounding with adrenaline. That was when the crash came again. This time an explosion of light enveloped the street. A group of their co-workers from HeartTech had arrived, holding signs and standing with determination. This was the uprising they had been waiting for. Amelia's words had sparked real action among those who had suffered in the shadows. Protesters? Really? Greg huffed, anger morphing into disbelief. You think they care about you? More than you know, Amelia replied, a spark of hope igniting. They formed a human barrier just beyond the gate. Familiar faces, familiar supporters. She could see Mike among them, shouting encouragement. He and others had gathered the courage to break from Greg's grip. As the crowd chanted the truth, Amelia felt the weight lift. Her heart swelled with pride and a fierce hope. They were together, a coalition of those tired of oppression, united by a common goal. In that moment, it became clear they were no longer shadows of fear. They were a bright burst against the night, ready to shine for what was right. Greg's face twisted into a scowl, realization settling in. Control was slipping from his grasp. You'll regret this, he spat. But Amelia felt a new courage unfurl in her chest. The only regret is how long we waited, she said, standing tall. The crowd behind her cheered, a roaring confirmation of newfound strength. In that moment, Amelia understood what true power was. It wasn't Greg's money or threats. It was the unity of people willing to stand together for a brighter future. As Greg's minions hesitated, she turned toward Oliver, gratitude surging through her. You were right. Thank you for being here. No, thank you for stepping up, he replied with a smirk, a shared understanding. The enemy's walls were weakening, and they would dismantle them together as the protesters pressed forward. Amelia felt unstoppable. Change was imminent. They were finally dismantling the reign of fear. And for the first time in a long time, her vision of a hopeful future for her children felt not just possible but profound. The lights glimmered against the darkness, their voices uniting a symphony of strength and hope. What awaited next was unknown, but together, they could face anything. Let us do this, Amelia shouted, her spirit alive with the fire of possibilities. The revolution had begun, and together with her community, Amelia vowed, they would never look back. Now, as you finish reading this powerful story, the courage to take action is within you too. You need to subscribe now to witness more transformative journeys. Leave a like, do it now to amplify this message and let the world know we're standing together. Comment below your thoughts and feelings on this incredible conclusion. And don't hesitate, share this video with at least 5 friends who need this inspiration in their lives. This is the moment to show your support and be a part of something bigger. Don't wait not even one more second to become part of our community.